Here are the matchups to keep an eye on. Oh, it's so good. Jason Tatum has been a lead on the offensive end for Boston. The Warriors are using former #1 overall pick Andrew Wiggins, apparently, as his primary defender. There's the marquee matchup of two guards, Klay and Jaylen Brown, who've been their team's second leading scorers, each averaging around 20 points. Pretty good Robins, if you ask me. And Marcus Smart will, of course, have his hands full with Steph Curry, but then so will Steph have his hands full with Marcus Smart for his career. With Smart as the closest defender, the greatest shooter who ever lived has shot only 29%. Full house here. Brian Windhorst joining us live from the NBA Finals. JJ Redick and Dave Jacoby are here with me. Someone lowered Jacoby's seat. They put you in the kids'
I'll move it up. I'll move it up.
Yeah,
I'll move it up. Who was in here before me?
The tallest man in the world was sitting. Who do we have? Amari Stoudemire?
That's probably what it was.
JJ just. Well, we just ran through some key matchups, right, JJ?
Show's off to a great start. Great start.
Which one of the key matchups that I so expertly went into will have the greatest effect on this?
Look, I think they're all important to this series. The matchup that I'm looking forward to watching the most, though, is this matchup between Jaylen Brown and Klay Thompson. And the reason I say this is because Jaylen Brown is great attacking it one-on-one. Klay Thompson hasn't been the same defender that we saw pre-leg injuries. And on the other side of the basketball, Jaylen Brown, while he can defend, he has a tendency to lack off-ball awareness, and that's really where Klay excels. So I think each of them, while they have strengths on both sides of the ball, can take advantage of each other offensively.
Real quick, is that Klay is a high basketball IQ guy. Is that a basketball IQ issue for Jaylen Brown on defense, who's a very, very good defender? Or is that a lack of experience?
I don't think it's experience, and I don't necessarily think it's a lack of basketball IQ. There is something to be said in terms of pausing and like taking that quarter-second, half-second break when you're off the ball. And what Klay is underrated at is as a cutter. And look, the Warriors, they led the league in made layups off cuts this season. So much of what we talk about the Warriors offensively is their threes, but Klay Thompson, I think, is their best cutter. And so his action off the ball to get open for three and to get cuts to the basket, that's something that Jaylen Brown has got to be aware of.
Jacoby, outside of of those key matchups, what problems does this Warriors offense pose for this top-rated Celtics defense?
It's exactly what JJ was just talking about. It's the way that they move off the ball, all of the motion in their offense. Because if you think about who the Celtics have just faced, Giannis, just a wrecking ball going through the lane. You've got Jimmy Butler, who had two amazing performances, but they're running a lot of high pick and roll stuff. That's not what the Warriors do. They're moving and moving and constantly moving, and the Celtics are constantly switching. And switching on the ball is one thing, but switching off the ball, simultaneous switches happening. And that's when the Warriors get all those back cuts, get all those open threes for their key players. It's going to be hard for the Celtics just to sort of adjust to what the Warriors do, which is so different than what they've just faced.
It's almost like overkill when you look at the complementary pieces, like Wiggins and Poole and guys like this are complementary pieces, right? Windy, you're covering your 11th NBA Finals. 6 of them have now included the Warriors. Why did they seem happier than ever at yesterday's media day?
Max, I can't tell you how different it is when the last time we were here in 2019 with the Warriors, which was obviously across the bay. Now we're in these palatial new digs here. But at that team, at that time, they were so emotionally and physically drained from 5 straight finals, the Kevin Durant drama about his future, and then later on the injuries that happened in that series. The Warriors team that I encountered yesterday was completely different. They are older. They are much more perspective about their situations here. Draymond Green talked about how it's so different having 19-year-old teammates. Klay Thompson said, I don't feel that old, I'm 32, but then looks down the bench and sees guys that he's 12, 13 years older than, who were playing, when he was a teenager, completely different. He was thinking, and Steph was talking about how he talks to his young teammates about what they do when they go home from practice and how vastly different his day is than theirs. And so that perspective and this appreciation for what they've gone through since they were last year has really given them a real mix of experience, yet, excitement coming into this game.
Kendra Andrews reported something I thought that Draymond said yesterday that I thought was so interesting on this show. The Warriors, once upon a time, they had experienced guys on their team who got real minutes and were important, but they weren't their best players. Now, their best players are as experienced in the championship as anyone ever, right? And they have, like, really high-level, young, athletic, complementary pieces. JJ, what do the Celtics, the much less experienced team under these circumstances, have to address in crunch time in this series?
Yeah, just to provide some context, the Celtics were 13-22 in clutch time games in the regular season, and going into Game 7 against the Heat, they were 1-4. Now, they ended up winning that game, but that shouldn't have really been a clutch time game anyways, because their offense completely stagnated down the stretch. I think it comes down to decision making. It's having the ball in the hands of the right players, and it's those players making good decisions. Look, sometimes it's going to be Jason Tatum taking a shot, but if the shot's not there, if the double team comes, if he drives and this second defender is in that gap, he's got to make the right decision, and they've got to take the right shots.
Yeah, Jay Will on KJM in the Morning convinced me yesterday that Marcus Smart is in fact the most important player in this series, because not only does he have to chase Steph Curry around, but then on the other end, he has to play like a perfect point guard, right? Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.